I'm just going to change everything to my Yeti microphone. Okay, it should be working. It really should be working. If you can hear something, let me know. Um, hmm, now? Now? Um, what I did, when you said you couldn't hear me and check your mic, my meter for my microphone, my new mic, my Yeti, is fine and it's working. So I had to go to the audio settings and change every single audio input to my Yeti microphone because one of them is this. But obviously not the obvious one. Typical, isn't it? And like I say, I just had to download a new version of this streaming software just before I went live. And it was it was like threw some new settings at me, and I'm like, it's going to go wrong. But thankfully, you can hear me now. Thank goodness. Nice to see you, matey. How you doing anyway? What you been up to? Did Ivor the Terrible come out in the end? I'm kind of concerned I might have done a bad job on the video, so you didn't put it out. If that's the case, let me know and I'll re-edit it or something. Let me know about that. Weirdly, I had loops in my head all night for a potential song. Really simple loops, but basically, I was listening to a lot of my old school Billy Joel collection, and the only Billy Joel song I can think of that was turned into a rap tune was a Billy Joel song called Stiletto, which Cool G Rap and Polo used for Road to the Riches. Oh, in fact, there was an old school song on one of the it might have been a Music of Life compilation called the Blues Brothers, the Blues Brothers, the Blues Brothers, the Blues Brothers, and basically that's the same as Road to the Riches. That's all Billy Joel. But I've got a couple of other Billy Joel tunes that would make some good loops. So I just heard from Lennis today that I will probably be going into studio not this Sunday but the Sunday. He said a week Sunday, so I'm assuming the next Sunday. Um, just to finish off the first tune. Darren, hello mate, how you doing? Um, Looking forward to seeing how that book turned out. I'm going to do a 2 hour live today. You know, I know it's like say I've got to go because it's an hour, and it's always when there's like 7 people watching. But I want to bump up my watch hours a little bit because it's beginning to creep up again. I was previously on something like 2,300 watch hours, and then it fell all the way down because it counts the last 365 days of people watching your vids. And I think what happened is it came across a low point where I wasn't uploading regularly, and now it's gone back to. It's Paul. Hello, Paul. Watched your goodies video yesterday, and I was like, do I have any goodies on DVD? And I know I've got the goodies at LWT on the table right next to me, but I just picked up the last copy of the goodies at last from Amazon last night after watching your vid, so I got a big goodies rewatch. But as I was saying, um, oh God, what was I saying? um, um, Studio 2 hour live, yeah. So my watch hours have started creeping back up to 2,200 or something. I need 4,000 watch hours, so I've got to be consistent for 365 days at 4,000 watch hours and get 1,000 subscribers. And I'm currently on 824. I gained another 2 this week. I don't care if they're bots. I don't care if they're people who can't stand me. Just subscribe. Don't even watch my videos. Just subscribe so YouTube sees the thing and goes, aha, I'll hit subscribe. You know, you don't have to get the notifications. Um, yeah. So I've probably got a lot of things to talk about. I always talk a lot. My video for tomorrow at midday is all about the Welsh dub of Star Wars. It's not the longest video, but I did some nice graphics. And although I don't speak Welsh, I'm I'm very excited for it. Why not? There's some haters in the comments, and every time I've seen a post about it, people are going, "Yeah, you should spend the money on NHS." I'm like, Lucasfilm won't be spending the money on the Welsh NHS. I'm sure that both Welsh speakers will enjoy this. I'm like, there's 538,000 Welsh speakers in Wales alone, let alone around the world. Look, I don't speak Welsh. I got nothing against Welsh speakers, even though it could be argued that Welsh speakers got something against me. But I once had the French, what do you call it? French Quebec import of the Phantom Menace, and it comes with a second track, which is a French Quebec soundtrack, and the dubbing is so good. You're watching it and you're going, the lip syncing is bang on. They haven't tweaked the lip syncing in CGI or anything, but it's so good. When you hear Yoda and Jar Jar, characters with really interesting voices in French, it's so well done. It's so good. So yeah, I'm all for that. Little bit narked that the S4C Eisteddfod announcement of that was accompanied by 2 stormtroopers in unbranded armor. So they were probably just rent-a-cops, but we've got an Imperial Welsh squad at the UK garrison based in South Wales, and they could have used them. They don't charge. Well, the only thing they charge is a donation to charity. So a little bit annoying that they didn't use those, and I did tell S4C on their Instagram post, so that was cool. The other news, you may see I did a post on Instagram saying I will never attend Comic-Con Wales, and you'd be a better person if you didn't either. Again, contentious issue. I can't go too deeply into it on a live stream, as we all know, people are out there waiting to bring me down by any means possible. But all I can say publicly is I'm not a fan of Comic-Con Wales. These are the same. It's Monopoly events, isn't it? They do all over the country, but yes, I went twice. I went to the one in Newport where in my Marvin costume, where I won 500 quid, and a entry into the final in Liverpool a couple of months later. But I didn't know. There is no tra. See, we can all speak French. Yeah, so all I can say publicly, after I went to those events, I learned something about the organization of Comic-Con Wales that goes completely against everything I agree with. Now, in similar news, there was, I think there still is, a Cardiff event called Anime League, and it's no secret that the organizer of Anime League is a wrong 'un. And this is not me just throwing, whistle in Dixie. This is like legal fact, and people still go to that event. So why put your money into the event, lining the pockets of someone like that? And it's not the same situation with Comic-Con Wales, but a lot of people claim to be good, upstanding citizens, and if they knew the truth, it sounds like I'm casting nasturtiums, but I'm not casting nasturtiums. I know the word's aspersions. I don't think anyone should go to Comic-Con Wales, and I've spoken to people privately about my reasons, and they're gone like, it doesn't matter. So if somebody wants to have a go at me for using ChatGPT or anything like that, then bring it on, because there's a lot of hypocrites out there. So I ain't got time for that. The one thing I can do, which I'm sure will help. Last year I was offered to be a free guest at Comic-Con Wales, to be a cosplay judge, and I turned it down. And a friend of mine said, well, you don't have to put any money in their pocket. I'm like, yeah, but me being there helps to make that a more profitable event. Not because I'm a celebrity, but it means like it's something else to do, and I can't be connected to that. Anyway, I'll happily discuss this with people in private, because again, last thing I want is to get jumped on by people who have nefarious reasons. Also, I'm going camping again. Went 2 weeks ago. I was going to go on my own, but my mate said, hey, is this a solo thing, or can I come along? And I used to go camping with him when we were teenagers. He was the kid in town who had the tent. That's Craig. So I called him number one in the video. And so we went camping for the first time in 43 years. Only local, only one night. Um, so I don't know whether to go tomorrow, which is Saturday, or Sunday. Um, I think Sunday might be better because if you go camping on a Sunday night, Sundays are quiet, overnight's fine, and then Monday people are in work, so there's less chance of getting spotted or discovered and that kind of thing. I'd rather sort of maximize my chances of not being found out or told to move on or anything like that, because the law of the land says wild camping, as they call it, is not strictly permitted. It's not a crime. It's against like bylaws and stuff like that. So it's more of a civil offence where you can be told to move on, and if you kick up a fuss, you could possibly incur a fine. But it's not a jailable offence. It's just, frowned upon, which is weird because, Wales has a lot of nice land. And as long as you don't damage, dig any holes or damage what do you call it? Damage the landscape, light any fires, or do any littering, what's the problem? Why can't they relax those laws a bit and get people out and encourage a community of what's the word? Not sustainable, but you know what I mean. A community of responsible campers who want to pop out and enjoy the countryside without, wrecking the place. I went looking for camping spots last weekend. Went for a walk for 4 hours, and I found a perfect spot. And when I got there, the perfect spot had remains of a campfire there, a full bottle of vodka, which I don't think was actually vodka. I didn't try drinking it because probably someone just weed in it. But next to it was half a liter bottle of Coca-Cola. So people were drinking and burning stuff there, and that is pretty wrong. So I had to find a better spot. If there are any insomniacs like me out there, and I know there are a couple of you, I might do a live. If I go camping on Sunday night, I might get up or if I'm still awake at like 3 in the morning, I might do a quick stargazing live. That'd be quite fun. See if my phone can pick up any stars where I am. I'm going to be in quite a nice spot with some good views. So that might be interesting if anyone wants to see a quick live. I wish you could do live like landscape on the phone, because when we did a quick live 2 weeks ago when we were camping, I had to have it vertically, which is a pain really. I'd rather do landscape, but there you go. Anyway, so I've had 3 more Blake 7 miniature figures. They're on the table over there. I had Sulin, Tarrant. Oh, hang on. Did I have 3 or 2? Yeah, Sulin, Tarrant, and Villa. So I've got them all, bar Callie and the security robot, which I did I order them? No, I haven't ordered them yet. I'm on the list. I'm on the kind of reprint list for that. So that's cool. And yes, Darren, I'm looking forward to Star Wars, like I said, and I will definitely be watching it. Won't understand like 99% of it, but I'd love to see how these voices play out. I think it'll be fun. And all these people are coming up with, oh, TAF Wars did it first. Give TAF Wars some money. I'm like, TAF Wars, as mildly entertaining as it was an illegal thing. Wrestling Daniel 1. Hello, Wrestling Daniel 1. So kind of like the rules like Explores like Mr. Airborne has to follow. Yes, I think so. I haven't seen any Mr. Airborne vids, but I watch Camping with Steve Wallace and Katie Romes, and it's basically leave no trace. That's all they're saying. Don't damage anything, leave no trace, and be nice about it, right? But yeah, with the Star Wars thing, I was talking about TAF Wars. It was lowbrow comedy. It was just making people swear and act Welsh, and it didn't really put Wales in a good light. I wasn't majorly impressed. I've always wanted to do a Star Wars dub myself, and do all the voices except for perhaps Princess Leia. just to see if how close I can get to sounding like everybody. I'm not the best impersonator, but I can get close with some of them. Ironically, my best Star Wars voice is probably Greedo. That's probably the most accurate one. I used to do a decent Darth Maul, but I think my voice is a bit too crackly to do that anymore. I can't even do Yoda very much anymore. My voice is too, my lungs and my throat are all finally went down the puberty, right? So, who out there has seen the Odyssey and Spider-Man Brand New Day? I still haven't seen the Odyssey, and I know for a fact if I can, I sat through Brand New Day without having a drink. Because I know my bladder would be full. And even in the last 20 odd minutes of Brand New Day, I was like, I need to go to the toilet. So I don't know how I'm going to sit through the Odyssey without going to the toilet at least once, which is a shame because I like to see movies all the way through, and very rarely am I able to do that now. It's old age where your bladder gets that sized. But I still want to see the Odyssey in a cinema if at all possible. People are, as usual, whinging about it, but I heard it is a good film. And again, you get to see more Tom Holland and John Bernthal and Matt Damon and everyone else in it. So that seems fun. Right. Brand New Day I thought was amazing. I've been having constant debates with my mate. He thought it was all right, but not very good. And he started bringing up loads of issues that he had with it. And the bottom line is a lot of these issues, obviously you can't please everyone, but when you're writing a movie, I'm fairly sure that if my mate who was critical of the film was in the same position as the writers, he'd write a great script because I know he writes really good film ideas. He'd write a great script, he'd hand it over, and they'd say, right, we've got some notes. You need to take out this scene, you need to take out that scene, you need to put in this, and this, and that's non-negotiable. I won't spoil it, no. But no, I said to him, look, this is what Hollywood's like. You know, they will rip you. And Kevin Smith has talked about this, hasn't he? About his plan to write a Superman movie, and it got completely ripped to shreds. So he walked away. And this is probably why Edgar Wright walked off Ant-Man as well. Because when you write a film, unfortunately, what you write, even if it's great in your mind, will get added to, taken away from, chopped up, bastardized, whatever you want to call it. And you'll end up with a script that you're not happy with, but it will get shot. But again, that's what happens. It's like you can not like something, but it's part of the process, unfortunately. If it's a $200+ million movie budget, the suits and the people who are not creative in the slightest, and other people who have got ideas, we've got to do product placement, and we've got to put this actor in who the agent is lobbying us to put them in, and we've got to do a storyline that sets up this other movie, and blah blah blah. You've got to do all that. So I think if you're a filmmaker or a maker of anything, really, even when it comes to music and everything like that, while you've got autonomy, do your stuff, do your thing, because it's not always going to be that way. Talking of music, Matt, when I was in, the business, our manager was the head of music production on BBC Two, as you probably know. Our A&R man at the record company was the ex-manager of Happy Mondays, and the head of A&R was the bass player from Haircut 100. And these people were trying to tell us what rap music should sound like, or what makes a good rap record, but also they wanted to bend us towards the pop thing, which is why our records were very pop things. Yes, Matt, the Cornetto movie is, well, yes and no. The simple answer is there's Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright are working on a movie, I think with Nick Frost. The slightly more technical answer is it's not technically a Cornetto movie. I know everyone wants a Cornetto, and the go-to, everyone's going Hot Fuzz too, because they love Hot Fuzz more than anything out of all the movies he's done. But the Simon and Edgar have both said, look, we want to do stuff together, but it doesn't have to be a Cornetto movie anymore. We don't have to keep doing those kind of things. what if we do a serious drama? What if we do a horror? What if we do something else? It doesn't have to be. Um, it doesn't have to be a Cornetto movie that falls into the Cornetto universe, And I don't mind. I like to see Edgar Wright do something else. I thought Baby Driver was excellent. Shame about the whole Kevin Spacey controversy. Wrestling Daniel 1, having seen either but a good few, and not happy about Odyssey. Yeah, it's true. And again, we all know Christopher Nolan's a pretty decent filmmaker. Whether you like his films or not, he's very, he writes very deeply. He shoots amazing stuff. He's got a very good director of photography. He's had some pretty good hits. I watched Tenet and I couldn't get into it. I watched it all. I was like, I have no idea what's going on here. But you can't deny that Christopher Nolan's a talented dude. And yes, okay, so he's not doing everything 100% accurate to Greek armor or Greek casting or whatever you want to do, but he's got reasons for doing these things. And I want everyone to go back to the old-fashioned way of watching films when we were kids, where you are given this and that's it. Like it or lump it. If you don't like it, don't watch it. If you like it, watch it. When The Empire Strikes Back came out, some of my friends were like, "Oh no, it's a terrible idea that Darth Vader is Luke's father." Spoilers. And they were like, "But this is it. That's what you're given." Back then we couldn't form Facebook groups and send hate mail to the director. And when the Transformers movie came out, what's his face? Who did the Transformers movie? Michael Bay. He was getting death threats from Transformers fans. What's wrong with these people? It's only a movie. And like, oh, it's not a very good film. I'm like, it's CGI giant robots beating the crap out of each other. It's not Shakespeare, guys. And the Odyssey is, to begin with, it comes from a poem anyway. It doesn't have to be historically accurate. The casting of someone like Lupita Nyong'o as, it wasn't Athena, I think Zendaya is Athena? I think so. But Lupita Nyong'o was, can't remember her name. I'm thinking Hera, but probably not. But she, the character was supposed to be born from an egg or whatever. So it's like, I do get a little bee in my bonnet when they talk about, oh, we're gonna make James Bond a person of color, or we're gonna make Superman a person of color. Now I know there are two black versions of Superman, Val Zod and another one whose name I can't remember. But if the film is that, fine. I used to get all my posters from Athena. I remember it well. It was in the Capitol Centre, wasn't it? Right at the back, I think. I think that woman's still alive, in the Athena posters, the one, the tennis player who's scratching her bottom. I think she's still alive, although I don't think many of us would like to see her bottom right now. But yeah, posters, man. We don't do posters anymore, innit? Maybe I should do what my mate does, Gareth Kavanagh up in Manchester. He's bought a very, very big frame, like a big A1 sized frame, and he's got it on the wall by his kitchen. I think it's even illuminated with some LED strips. And once a month, he will change out his posters, and he gets like cinema quad posters, the nice sort of things you'd collect, Matt. You know what I'm saying? And he has like, oh, this month we're having this classic movie poster. And it's like, that's cool. Maybe I should do that. Because, I didn't really get a lot of posters on my walls as a kid. My mum used to complain about, you'll ruin the wallpaper, you'll pull the paint off and all this kind of stuff. But I did have a little corner by my bed, much like this. And I had some, smash hits posters. I remember having a nice poster of the Wee Papa Girl rappers. Rest in peace, T.Y. Tim. Because I thought she was an absolute babe. I think I might have even had a Salt and Pepper on the wall. I know I had Run DMC on the wall and Houdini and LL Cool J. I didn't have any like chicks as such. I had T.Y. Tim from Wee Papa. And blimey, who else? Yeah, I think I had some Run DMC stuff, but I didn't really have any, like, I couldn't put any saucy ladies up because, my mother would have been like, that's not staying up. I did. I went through a phase in around 89, and I tell you what, I know it's 89 was because one of the first big official movie posters I had was Batman, and it was just the bat symbol. It didn't even say Nicholson Keaton on the top. It was just the big thing. I think it had a date at the bottom. And me and my mate jumped in his car and we drove around places, and we used to pinch them at bus stops. They're bigger than AO. They're full bus stop size posters, and I got a handful of them. And we were given posters from the local video shop when they didn't need them anymore. So I had of the ones we pinched from bus stops, I had Batman, I had Lethal Weapon 3, and I had what was the other one I had? A third one. So around that time, Lethal Weapon 3, Batman. Can't remember what else, but from the video shop, I had a really nice poster, The Ninja Mission. And it was like a red poster, and it had 3 ninjas, but they weren't really ninjas. They were guys with machine guns and balaclavas on like this. And they were supposed to be ninjas, but they weren't very ninja-y with their machine guns. But it was a nice painted poster. That was cool. But yeah, that's a nice movie poster. I've always wanted the really nice Escape from New York poster, the one where the head of the Statue of Liberty's tipped over, and Snake and everyone are running towards. They're quite small in the frame, but it's a really good poster. Okay, Wrestling Daniel. I stopped watching 99% of the Fandom Menace YouTube scene for that reason, as they tend to review stuff that they know they'll end up disliking for clicks. Yeah. I used to watch a lot of the big YouTubers who like to rag on movies they don't like and bits they don't like about movies and TV, but it gets a bit tiring, doesn't it? And it's like, it is for clicks, and I've talked about this in the past. If I turn my YouTube channel into a hate channel, I'd probably get a lot more subscribers. I'd get monetized. I'd start getting money in, but then I'd have to find things to dislike all the time. And even if I'm just pretending to dislike stuff to begin with, what would happen is it would program your brain into looking out for things you can't stand, ranting about that all the time online just to get the clicks and all that. And I just become a very negative person. I don't think I've got the mental fortitude to live like that. Red Letter Media, I haven't seen any of their stuff for a long time. I stick to a couple. I do occasionally watch The Critical Drinker, mainly because he's funny. He does make some good points, and you can tell he knows a lot about filmmaking. But he sometimes goes over the top a little bit too much. He's got a very strange way of sort of, he avoids when he'll bring up politics, but he won't say anything nasty about the Orange Man, which is a bit weird. And some of the others are just really into just hating on stuff. I mean, one of the YouTubers, who will remain nameless, will have a bunch of people on screen, in a live, and like there may be 1 or 2 women there, but they're there. All of them, all the male ones, are just ripping into how rubbish women are, and the 2 women on the live are sitting there dead quiet, going, smile and wave, I watch Dan Murrell. I think Dan Murrell's one of the good ones. He's got a massively good knowledge of movies. He's very balanced. He's very even. He doesn't go for clicks. He's very honest. I'm sure you will have heard that. I've got 2 windows, not that one, but 2 other windows wide open, and a hill. And there's always 1 or 2 very noisy motorbikes or cars that rip up, which is great when I'm sitting here trying to do some voiceover work, and But yeah, Dan Murrell's very good. He also does the charts. He looks really deeply into like the charts and the box office figures and stuff every week. And so Spider-Man's hit, I think 1.4 billion already. Maybe I should have a quick check and have a quick look on Box Office Mojo. Box Office Mojo. That was loud. It was loud here. I was like, Sheesh. Thankfully, the guy doesn't drive around when I'm asleep. I do close my windows to get it quieter, but that was insane. 1.18 billion dollars. Oh, so not 1.5 yet. But do you know when you think back that how much Tom Holland got paid for Civil War, it was something like, oh blimey, was it like 500,000? Was it less than that? It wasn't a lot. I mean, in the grand scheme of things. How much did Tom Holland get paid for, let's say, Homecoming? He got, for Homecoming, he got 1.5 million or 1.1 million pounds, and now he's earning 20 times that. I know he got 20 million for Brand New Day, and I think good on him. He seems like a super decent bloke. He's managed to, negotiate his way to the top. He works bloody hard. He's down to earth. He saved himself from alcoholism, and managed to get clean and sober without too much, public scrutiny. He got married. He keeps that quiet. And he said he's going to quit as soon as he has a kid. So I think he's going to get an Oscar for the Fred Astaire movie that he's working on now. I think he'll get an Oscar for that, purely on talent alone. It's not so much the acting, but obviously he's an incredible dancer. And I think he might quit after that. Him and Zendaya are going to be like, let's have a kid and disappear into the sunset. And I don't mind if they do. I'll miss him. I'll miss Tom more than Zendaya, obviously. I think Tom's a better actor, and he seems like a decent lad. And I used to follow his dad, on his dad's still a stand-up comedian, Dan Holland. Not Dan Holland. I keep saying Dan. Is it Dan Holland? Daniel? No, hang on. I keep getting confused with Dan Holland from the Black Hole movie. Dominic Holland, Dom Holland. And it's great because he still does stand up, and he says, I know my name sounds like Tom Holland, who's actually my son. And a lot of people don't even believe him. He's like, yeah, my son is actually Tom Holland. So that's cool. For a kid who, as a really young kid, said like, oh, maybe one day I'd like to play Spider-Man, and actually got there. Good for you, dude. Good for you. And he's even talking about passing, he's got an idea of how to pass the mantle over to Miles Morales or whoever comes next to Spider-Man. Fine. So he realizes that, his time is limited. He can't play Spider-Man for the rest of his life. He's not Hugh Jackman. And, this Brand New Day is supposed to be the first in a new trilogy. So he knows he's got at least 2 more films to get going with. And in between, he's, like you say, he's doing Fred Astaire, which means a heck of a lot of work. Man, think of all the rehearsing he's got to do for that. Because not only has he got to dance, he's got to copy stuff that you've seen Fred Astaire do. And Fred Astaire ain't no slouch on the dance floor, right? So, he may burn himself out, I think thankfully he's at the point where he's got a decent life, a decent income, and he can pick and choose now what he wants to do rather than being desperately searching, waiting for a role. I think they come to him, which is cool. Can't fault that. Man, I always had back in the 90s when I was really trying to get into acting, I've always wanted to be in a kind of like a romantic comedy. But something like let's think, like an Adam Sandler movie, possibly. I'm not the biggest fan of Adam Sandler, but his kind of films where he plays someone who's a bit odd or a bit weird, and he meets a girl, they don't get on, and then they do get on, and then they end up falling for each other. But it's funny as well, a bit like a Jim Carrey movie with a bit more comedy in it. I mean, The Mask was a good one because obviously he got Cameron Diaz at the end of it. And a mate of mine, I don't see the guy anymore. I don't particularly miss the guy anymore. Long story, but he wrote an idea for a film which the bones of it was there, and I helped him out and said, let's make it a bit better. And I don't have any Word docs left over from the 90s, but you know, it was basically a light-hearted rom-com, and I was going to be in it, and I thought this is great. And I guess if I tried to make it now, it'd be cheaper than a sci-fi movie. I'd still have to find a girl who'd be willing to fall in love with me on screen, and I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But I was hoping someone would come out of the blue. A friend of mine said, you should really make a comedy film and you should be the main guy in the comedy film. And I thought that would be right up my street. I'd really work on that. But I'm pushing 60 now, so maybe I have to just change it to a call it On the Shelf, about a guy in his, you know, his late 50s who still hasn't found love. But I like films with gimmicks, like The Mask. Obviously, it's that sort of effects heavy, but gimmicks where, you know, there's something about the guy, you know, like the Simon Pegg one, Absolutely Anything. Was that the one? Yeah, and he did another one where a guy was afraid of everything. I can't remember what that was called. It was directed by Crispian Mills from the Cooler Shaker. Simon Pegg does some good stuff. Oh, my favorite Simon Pegg film is probably Man Up, romantic comedy. Really, really good. He's playing Simon Pegg at his best. He's basically playing like Tim Bisley or whatever. But he goes on he's going for a blind date, but the woman he's supposed to meet is there at the right time, in the wrong place at the right time, whatever. And he goes on this blind date with her, and she just goes along with it. And then they start finding out that they can't stand each other, but they fall in love at the end, because, you know, that's all how rom-coms work. But it's such a funny film, really good, and all set in London as well. We're down to 4 viewers. That's a shame. But we'll see who else is here. I'm going to pop over to Instagram on my other monitor and see what else is going on. I have a message. I have a comment, at least. Oh, that's interesting. It's another one about Comic Con Wales. Yeah, okay. Well, again, someone's saying I shouldn't be going to Comic Con Wales, but I'm going anyway for another reason, which is it's fine, but it's like, if I start investing money in live dog fights to the death, don't have a go at me, because, hey, I've got to get my fun from somewhere. Sorry. Yeah, shenanigans, man. Anyway, it's a complicated thing. I'm just going to switch over to my other. Do you know what I did today? I defaced a spoon. I defaced a teaspoon, right? Imagine your average teaspoon is about that long. I had to bend like an inch of it over and like hammer it flat, so I've got a really short spoon. I do have a spoon as part of my camping and cooking kit. Goodness me, it's dark in here. I'm going to put some lights on. I know you're only looking at my ugly face, but if I can distract you by looking at something else, that might help. Let's stick a light on. It's a bit better. Yeah, so what was I saying? Spoon. Yeah, I have my camping stuff all the way over there ready to go. And I'll tell you what else I bought in a sec. I thought, why don't I keep the one spoon for eating food and keep another one in a little plastic Tupperware tub for all my tea and coffee and stuff? So I thought I should have a spoon for that. And I didn't have like a tiny egg spoon, you know, those little ones for eating boiled eggs. So I just grabbed a spoon out of the drawer. I got too many, bent it and hammered it so it's like folded over. In fact, it's not folded over perfectly, so I can probably hang it up on stuff, like on strings inside the tent. But what else I bought today, I'll go show you it, because it's funny. It's funny. You ready for this? Anybody still here? There's still 4 viewers. Do you know what I bought? How's that for a quality piece of stainless steel? Look at that. That was a quality bit of tool there, and I thought this would be an arm and a leg because I got it from my local hardware store, made of full-on Beskar armor. So why is it funny? I'll tell you why it's funny. Do you know what I need this for? This is my pooper scooper. Not that I'm scooping poop with it, okay? But last 2 weeks ago when I went camping, entrenching tool, basically, I was paranoid 2 weeks ago that we'd get out where we were camping and you got to go to the loo. Now, being a dude, I do what most dudes do, and if it's number one, you just go next to a tree, etc. It's all biodegradable, it's fine. But if you want to do something else, you ideally should be digging holes, right? And burying, so that way you don't attract animals in the middle of the night or, pollute the place, I don't want anybody to sort of walk into it if they're walking through the fields and the undergrowth. So this is I notice it's sharpened on the, not sharpened, but thinned out. Yeah, it's like it's been hammered on the end. That's quite nice. But that was under a tenner. That was $6.75. It did come with a little fork as well, but the same price. So I thought, that's what I need. That's for digging the holes that I can fill it. And if that's stainless, that's not going to rust for a long time. As long as the handle stays on, so I don't hammer it into the ground and ruin the handle. It comes with a bit of string as well. So that makes a great noise, isn't that? Awesome. Talking of ringing noises, let's see if I can do it. Right, remember Baggy Trousers by Madness? Right at the very start, there's a school bell that goes ding, 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 ding. Naughty boys in nasty schools, headmasters. Basically, they didn't use a shovel; they used a fire extinguisher, and I didn't believe that. But I was on YTS in the 80s, and we were in a room, it was like a recording studio thing, and a mate of mine, a big Madness fan, he's told me that fact, and I was like, nah. He said, go on, get 2 pens, go over to the fire extinguisher and go diddly-ling, and it sounds exactly like the start of Baggy Trousers. I'm like, this is brilliant. So that's where that came from. You learn the more you know, as they say. So let's put my spade of greatness over there. Right, so notifications on the other Instagram over there. Nothing really. Okay. Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to what do you call it? I'm looking forward to camping because I haven't been on my own yet. Oh, we have a message just popped in Instagram. What's going on? Oh, it's just my friend who's singing on my tune. Yeah, so I can't remember what I was saying now. I know I said the Madness thing, but before that I was just saying that, see, this is how quickly my mind goes off stuff. I'm so unfocused. And also, you see my quite red under here? I got my second sort of I can't even see anything. It's just red and swollen for the second time in 2 weeks. It's really annoying. It's probably going to swell up bigly, to use a terrible word. I can't remember what I was talking about. I said the shovel and camping and the oh, for goodness sake, I can't even rewind the video. Was it camping? It might have been camping. Yes, it was. I was talking about I haven't camped on my own yet. Like I say, I was going to go on my own last 2 weeks ago, but my mate goes, can I come along? And I'm like, yeah, of course you can, which is fine. And it probably was better because we couldn't find the right spot that I would have been looking for. And I might have actually given up. But in the end, we found a better spot and it was great. And it was, someone to chat to. And, we basically relived our teenage camping events. But my plan was always to go on my own. So this weekend I'll be going on my own for one night, which would be quite terrifying. I was thinking of using my old-fashioned trick, my old-school trick of getting over fear at night, because I do get scared of the dark, believe it or not. And I know I shouldn't, because it's not really the dark that's scary. It's, anybody who may be in the dark. Like my mum says, don't worry about the dead getting you. It's the living buggers you need to worry about. And she's right. But this is why I won't camp out in the open. I'm going to find somewhere really secluded and, hard to find. Plus, I bought a camouflage net to go over my already green tent. So hopefully that'll help. But my old school trick for avoiding being frightened at night if you're in a strange place is to get very drunk. I used to mind a farmhouse in Surrey occasionally. And the first night was always terrifying. I was told stories about people might be coming round, or you might get ne'er-do-wells looking at this dilapidated house and wondering if they could nick anything and break in. And here I am upstairs with no method of protecting myself, just a telly and some biscuits and some, milk and tea and coffee. It's like, so I'd bring 2 bottles of red wine with me, neck them both on the first night. And by 3 a.m, I'm standing on the landing going, come on, bring it on, because I'm hammered. Because, all the fear was completely gone. I'm going to sneeze. Oh, Gesundheit. And again. Excuse you, what? Anyway, still got a bit of cold tea left. I had tea for the first time in ages. Usually I have coffee. Dogmen, ghosts, skinwalkers, and the fae. Yeah, well, what we found, did I mention this recently? I don't think I did. What was really cool 2 weeks ago when we were camping, you didn't see it on the video obviously, but me and my mate Craig, massive fans of An American Werewolf in London, as I'm sure you are, Matt, right? So when we finally said goodnight and went to bed, it must have been about midnight, 1 o'clock-ish, and I was lying in bed. I was lying on mattress, trying to get comfy, and it wasn't comfy. I started thinking about things that would scare me, like if somebody slashed my tent open in the middle of the night, or started kicking me from outside the tent. Anything that was scary, what noises you could hear. And I was saying to my brain, stop it. You're not scared right now. The more you think about this stuff, the more creeped out you're going to be. No one can find us. We're in the middle of nowhere. No one's going to come all the way up here. But your brain keeps going, oh, what if it does happen? Dogmen, ghosts, skinwalkers, and the lack, and the fae, and the like. But what I thought I would do is I'd pick my phone up, I'd go to YouTube and find the howling werewolf noise from An American Werewolf in London, and play that, and that would give him the creeps. But I didn't do it. I should have, but I didn't. But in the morning, when I was talking to him about it, he said he was thinking a lot about An American Werewolf in London. What a missed opportunity, man. Imagine him thinking about all this. Oh, werewolf noise. Oh, imagine hearing that. And all of a sudden he hears it from a tent. Obviously my tent's about 10 feet away. But just hearing this werewolf noise, it'd be funny. We'd both be laughing about it. But just for a moment, it would be like, I was thinking about it and it happened. That would have been brilliant. What a missed opportunity. Well, I can't believe this. Sometimes I do a live without announcing it. And I get up to like 15 viewers. So this time I thought I'll announce it properly. I announced it on both my Instagram accounts and my Facebook page and YouTube. And there's only 3 people watching. That's a shame. Well. So as there are only 3 people watching, I'm not watching myself this time. So there's 3 genuine viewers. I know one is definitely Matt. I'm assuming the other one might be Wrestling Daniel. And probably the Darren Zone. But if you're still here, say hello. I know I do get lurkers who don't say anything in the chat. I wonder if I can sign into the chat on my streaming software, because I've just updated the software. No, open in web browser. So if I click that, see what happens. Oh, it's going to take me straight to YouTube. That's no good. Oh, here we are. Yeah, but it doesn't say. I mean, I can. Oh, let's just type something in the chat. Hello, and who are you? Oh well, I've never done. Usually, I'm just talking at the people in the chat rather than typing. But I just thought I'd do a quick one, just see who people are. So, typical, innit? I announce it on 4 different platforms, and I only get 3 viewers. And people are like, "Why didn't you tell me you went live?" I was like, "I did tell you." What time did I go live? An hour ago, just under an hour ago. So yeah, I'll do another hour. Get those watch hours up. Look, bitten by insects. I got another bite here somewhere. I've got a bite on my back. I had a really, see that red mark there? That was really big red lump and itchy for a while. I thought, oh, it's a tick. I'm going to get Lyme disease. So I'm still not healing up from all these bites, but I have bought some insect repellent stuff. That's interesting. That came up in the chat before you said it. Must be 20 seconds or so of latency. Yeah, I hate this latency thing because, as you know, every time I do a live, I say, right, that's it. I'm signing off, and I go, ta-ra, and it always, right, that's it, and it cuts me off. So I need to kind of wait for 20 seconds before I've got to stop talking, let the 20 seconds play out, then hit end chat or end live. I hate this latency thing. There's nothing I can do about it. I guess it goes through my PC, through to my internet, which is my mobile phone, which is not the fastest thing in the world, obviously, to a wireless network, to YouTube, and, you know, that latency thing is a real pain. It's never as live as I'd like. And obviously, so then when people chat to me, the messages come up quite quickly, but you might be waiting a while for my reply. I can hear a noisy bike. He's just ticking over. He's gone elsewhere. Oh, I thought it was going to be another noisy one. There are a couple of like Harley Davidson types who make really loud noises. I should have closed windows before I started. That one's open to let some air in, and the other 2 are open as well. I am going to check the weather. We had torrential rain for a few hours a couple of days ago. I was up at like 1 in the morning, and it rained for 3 or 4 hours really heavily. So I thought I'd check the weather app I normally use, which is XC Weather, because that was recommended to me by a guy who owns a boat. He said, oh, it's brilliant. And it said, bright sunshine. I was like, it isn't bright sunshine. So now I think I'm sticking with the BBC weather because it's more accurate. Let's have a quick look. Oh, somebody noisy, but they didn't get too close. BBC weather. My town. Right, so what time is it now? It's 9:25, and they're saying tonight at 10 o'clock, 0% chance of rain, which is probably right. That's good. 11 degrees at 3:45 a.m. Saturday's weather, 6 a.m. sunny, cloudy all the way till 5 o'clock. Sorry, I know this is like the most. That's why I've only got 2 viewers because I'm talking about the blimmin' weather. 5, 6, 7, 8, and then sun sets at 9. Still no. That's good. Let's look at Sunday's weather in case I choose to go camping on the Sunday. Seems good. No rain. Right. Someone's just messaged me. What could that be? Oh, it's an email. Hang on. Okay. What's Zilch? Team Zilch. Is that one of those payment things? I don't remember signing up for that. Unlock your limit for credit limit. Oh, I didn't sign up for that. It's just some spam about blah, blah, blah. Anyway. So, aside from my camping expectations, again, I don't know whether I should film it at all. I might, like I say, I might do a live at like 3 in the morning if there's some decent stars to be seen. But Look, there's only two people watching now. Do you think there's anybody going to be watching at 3 o'clock on a Sunday night or Monday morning? I don't think so. But as it'll be my first ever time camping on my own, and a lot of thoughts will be going through my head, including the scary ones, maybe I should document it a bit in a video. I wonder if I could do a separate channel, not a separate, entirely separate account, but a side channel for non-sci-fi stuff. You know what I mean? If you're still there, Matt, I know you mentioned before about the software you use for, putting together backing tracks and stuff. Was it Acid Pro or was it something else? I remember D.W. Smith sent me a link to, I want to say, DaVinci Resolve, or was it something else? I can't remember, but I couldn't get it working for whatever reason. Yeah, I could talk about sci-fi, and just between you and me, again, I can't divulge the location I'm filming at because it might incriminate me. But I guess there's a sci-fi connection. Let's not say any more. Yeah, I think it'll give me something to do, because if I'm going to be on my own from at least 12 hours, like 7 in the evening till about 7 or 8, 9 o'clock next morning, depending on what time I pack up. I need to have something to do, because if I'm with my buddy, we're sitting there talking, and just chatting and shooting the breeze. But if you're on your own, you can't really, there's not much to do except put some music on and sit in the tent or doom scroll, So yeah, I think maybe I should document as much as I can. I quite like watching people's camping videos. Depending on who they are, they've got to have nice personalities, really. Steve Wallace, very laid back. Katie Romes, she's funny without trying to be, and she's a real sweetheart, to be honest. And seeing all the creeps in Acid 2, man, I got to get that. I used to love putting stuff together on Acid Pro. I had loads of backing tracks for songs ready to go and never got around to it. But I couldn't. I changed computers about 3 times since. I think it was Windows XP at the time. So if it's anything like Acid Pro that I used to use, I could get sorted on that straight away. Do you know what? I wrote a poem, Matt. Take a Federation Blast. That's a good idea. I have one nearly finished. I need the handles, and I've got all my templates for handles here, and I need another handle for my own personal Federation Blaster, which I haven't made. The one I'm making, the very last one I'm making, is for myself. So I'm trying harder with that one. But yeah, I've got the Liberator Blaster. That'd be good. Down and Safe, which sounds like a proper hip hop. Do you know what? Maybe, can I reserve that for a hip hop album title? Down and Safe, because that works on 2 levels, doesn't it? It's like down with a posse and safe, brah, but also the sci-fi aspect that only old gits who like sci-fi will understand. That'd be quite cool. I did toy with the idea of calling an EP DFA, and a lot of people saw it, including Richie V, who said, I mean, don't F about. I'm like, it does mean that. But before I even realized that, I was going to call it DFA, as in difficult first album, because, there's that whole trope about an artist's second album is the difficult one. So it's a typical difficult second album, because your first one becomes a hit, and then you've got to try and follow it up with something good. But I thought, after about 40 years of trying to rap, any album is the difficult first album, which, I've always wanted to have an album under my belt. And I take my hat off, which is already off, to people like you, Matt, who have churned out more content in your career than I ever could dream of. I'd love to be as prolific as you. It will take me a long time. Astrid Monarch. That's great. I always had this idea, never got round to it. When we were checking into hotels, I think I said this story before. I used to sign in as Earl Grey, because our manager said put false names in because you do get fans who travel around the country trying to track you down. And they even asked the people in the hotel, have you got a Terry Cooper staying there? And they were like, nope, can't see that because I'm down as Earl Grey because obviously it's tea. But my manager also said, don't tell anyone that you've got a girlfriend or a partner or whatever because it puts the fans off. And I thought, yeah, if I say that I'm single in an interview, my missus at the time would have broken my jaw when I came home. And he said, look, it's just one of those things that pop stars do. But I wanted to say in an interview, like with Smash Hits or something, and say, yeah, oh, my girlfriend's name is Astrid Monarch. See what happens. But yeah, Astrid Monarch, that's great. I still like Down and Safe, though. I might come up with something else. I've always had different ideas of what I can call the thing. But my problem, Matt, and my big fear is, regardless of whether I can learn how to rap and write it anymore, I don't have a set kind of style, as it were. Obviously, as you know, I started off doing stuff on like some of Gully's rave tunes, just my normal raps but sped up, and the home demos were more kind of half British hardcore and half, Ice-T, LL Cool J wannabe type sounds. And then we got into Best Shot, and it was more like the pop tunes and stuff, which I do like. I'm not ashamed of doing the pop stuff. But like I say, I bought 40's album the other day, and it's unashamedly definitely 40, and he's done many tunes, and you can listen to them and go, that's definitely 40. And yourself and Ralph and Johnny and all these other people, you've all got your styles and you all got your sound, and I don't have a sound really. I do. I think if I did an album or an EP, it would be a very, very weird, varied variety of mix. Maybe I should call it Candy Jar because everyone's a different flavor. Because I like me pop stuff. I like me very old school, Sugar Hill Gang type stuff. I like LL 80s stuff. I like Run DMC rock stuff. I also like, pop covers and whatever, everything. It's a bit like listening to the Street Sounds Crucial app. 1 minute they'll play Supersonic by JJ Fad or the Fat Boys or something even sillier, like, and then the next minute they'll play some Tupac or some Digital Underground or Mantronix or Egyptian Lover or all those kind of things. I'm just going to quickly refresh the chat and see what happens. Nothing. We're only on 3 viewers, but I'll keep going. Maybe people from Instagram might realize that I'm still online. What else can we talk about? I'm just checking. Maybe Glazy's watching. I think he's on holiday, but he may be watching. He doesn't have an Instagram account to chat, but he may message me at some point and go, yada yada. What was I going to say? I'm going to Cardiff at the end of this month, twice in fact, to Chapter. So I might be able to hook up with you sometime around then. Going to Chapter for 2 Doctor Who fan film premieres. One is the one with Philip Roy, Doctor Who Meets the Scorpion, and the other one is what's it called? Outlander, which looks really interesting. It's very set in like a Dallas with JFK and stuff, and the cinematography looks great. So I've been invited to the premiere of that. So I would be in Cardiff for 2 days at least, if I can get down a few hours earlier. If you're in Cardiff, I know you're out of town, but if you are in the area, could hook up, get a cup of tea, whatever you drink. Okay, right. Very interesting live on my part. quite boring. I thought I had a lot to talk about, but I think I've covered everything. I keep talking about camping. Oh, what have you got here? LP I did years ago made each track the standard trope of hip-hop LP from the 80s and 90s. It had a dance track, bilingual track, story rap. You could approach it. Yeah, because I want to do story stuff. I want to do slightly more up-tempo stuff, but I would never go into hip house, but I do like the R&B type stuff, you know, Belle Biv DeVoe and all that. And the other thing, I was saying this to Lennis, and weirdly, you know, if I was ever achieved my dream of being a stand-up comedian, I would talk about the white man's struggle in hip-hop. And what I mean by that is that it's harder than you'd think, because I can't talk about my amazing car, my gold rope chains, my guns, my, for want of a better word, ladies, and smoking and gin and juice, and I don't do any of that. I'm not broke. I don't live in the ghetto. I'm not, you know, I'm not hassled by the cops. What the heck is a straight white middle-aged git gonna talk about in a rap tune? And I know you guys do it really well. I don't even want to do full-on braggadocio stuff nowadays, because I'm not the best rapper in the world. I'm certainly not the best rapper in my house. Get to Mars. Yeah, we'll just have to meet at Mars or somewhere. Why haven't they invented teleport yet? Do you know what I mean? I'm really annoyed. I'm sure there would be people willing to risk human trials of a teleporter. Then you could literally be down and safe. That would be cool, wouldn't it? Yeah, public transport sucks. But yeah, what do I rap about? And I don't really want to rap about how I'm the baddest MC of all time, and I'll destroy all the suckers with my lyrical flow and all that kind of stuff, because it feels really disingenuous anymore. So I don't know what I'd write about. Well, that's why story rhymes are quite interesting, because you can actually write a story and you've got something to, a theme basically. What I did do the other day, believe it or not, I sat down and I started writing some poetry, just not with rap in mind, but I started writing poetry about my frustrations about how the world is turning to crap at the moment, and why we really shouldn't lose hope somehow. Because if we do, what else have we got? And I wrote quite a long poem, and I thought, this sounds a bit more like Public Enemy spoken word. Yeah, that'd be cool. Send me some inspiration tracks. That'd be cool. Yeah, so anyway, so the first tune I've done with Lennis, you know, is be finished in hopefully a week's time, not Sunday, but the Sunday after. Again, more of a pop tune, not going to be, it's not going to impress anyone in the Cardiff rap fraternity. But again, I'm not doing it for the Cardiff rap fraternity. I'm doing it for me. And then if I want to do another one, I want to change gear, like I said, and do something that will hopefully test me a bit more. I would like to do a multi-layered, mate, I know you say you're looking forward to hearing my new stuff, but you know, you might have to get a sick bucket and go, dude, that's not great. It certainly wouldn't go down well in, like, you know, the Welsh Club or Toucan Club or wherever. Not that I'm planning any live gigs ever. But I would like to do a multi, you know, a really dense backing track like Public Enemy do, and just put this spoken word poetry over the top that only just rhymes. Weirdly enough, you know, my 8 lines in United Colours where I come in at the end, I tried at that point to try and deliver it a bit like Chuck D. Obviously I don't have Chuck D's voice. I mean, who does, except for Chuck D. But I tried to deliver it a little bit like, you know, the way he does it. The point of view was strong, and yo, we got it going on, you know, that kind of thing. And I thought, I'm not going to tell anyone I'm trying to do a Chuck D by ear, because people will laugh at me because I'm a silly white boy. But hey, what the heck? Look, if Vanilla Ice is still going, and he is, with all his ups and downs and stuff, what's really disingenuous is when, there's programs you get on telly that says, I love the 90s or I love the 80s. And they got all these people on there, and they'll bring up, the sarky voiceover man will go, also in the 90s was a battle of the rappers between MC Hammer, a proper guy from the streets who was the right colour, and a white upstart with weird hair and baggy trousers called Vanilla Ice. And they'll show clips of Vanilla Ice dancing and Hammer dancing and clips of both of them talking, and then you get the commentators, the stand-up comedians and all this stuff going, oh, remember Vanilla Ice? Oh, he was awful, he was terrible, he was so corny and so cringe and But Vanilla Ice, his record sold shed loads. It went multiple platinum, and I was like, yeah, don't act like you hated it, because at the time you were probably dancing to it in the disco. Let's not get it twisted. Hammer and Vanilla Ice, whatever you think of them. I know in my circles that we used to hang out in the 90s, everyone preferred Hammer because obviously he was a bit more credible. Even though you look back at, you can't touch this. Great track, even to this day, uses the Rick James Super Freak song. But, the big glasses and the extremely baggy trousers and the dancing. Wacky-dee. It wasn't, I'm not calling him whack, but I'm saying Wacky-dee from CV4, in case anyone, wants to take me out of context. But, and Vanilla Ice was doing the similar kind of stuff. There's that rivalry, and people were like, well, Vanilla Ice is super cheesy because he's even cheesier because he's white and he's got strange hair, and he'd do that. Because that's the V for vanilla, isn't it? But look, he kept going. He reinvented himself at one point, did some rock stuff where he did a rock version of Ice Ice Baby called Too Cold, which was all right, actually. Very Limp Bizkit styly. But he's still around. He's still reasonably healthy and hasn't got himself shot or locked up or jailed or killed or anything like that. So, yeah, respect where it's due. I can't talk, But, man... Yeah, I want to like I say, if I can get a better means of putting tracks together at home, and basically sketching out my ideas like you do, I think I'll be better, because I can't be waiting for an available slot with Lennis on a Sunday in the studio where I can we got 4 people watching. Hey, 4 people. So that'd be me, then that'd be Matt and 3 other people. So if you're still there, say hello in the chat. Be nice to see you. And also, give me something to talk about, because I'm kind of running out of steam here. The Ranting Welshman. All right, my son, quick question. Does she want... I know who that is. You nut job. You don't often rant anyway. I know who you're talking about. Never mind that. Go off to eBay and buy me that really nice sweatshirt you just saw. I know it's 110 quid, but... You're loaded, mate. You got loads of money. You just bought a Beat Street top. When are you going to wear that Beat Street top, by the way? Anyway, yeah. More to the point, who is she in question? I know you're asking, does she want the... Because I did mention CB4 earlier. Yeah. I wish I knew there was someone who wanted the... Anyway, moving right along. What was I saying? Yeah, if I had a better method of sketching out possible tracks, I do have notebooks and stuff here where I've got, the starting of some lyrics and I've got some samples written down, or I could use this, and this. But I wanted a way of actually, audibly assembling them on my PC. Then I can take all the samples into the studio and go, right, this is what it's supposed to sound like. Here are the bits, put them together, and we'll bash the tune out in 1 session or 2 sessions. What we used to do, I used to enjoy having the lyrics in my brain. You have to lean into you. Yeah, it's I can do reminiscing and stuff. I don't think I'd mention, sci-fi or film references, I suppose, but it's like obviously you know more than anyone that there's a certain alleyway of subjects and the way of talking about stuff in a rap tune. I know you can veer off and do a whole song about, do you know what's stuff like Milky Cereal by LL Cool J. It's a story, but it's also you're trying to drop down as many cereal brands as possible. That's quite funny. My Rhyme Ain't Done is another one. It's a story. But other than those kind of novelties, I don't think I could do a whole rap tune and be funky and be talking about how I like the Black Hole and Tron. It would not be. It would be the rap equivalent of a stamp collector or a train spotter, wouldn't it? It wouldn't not be great. Um, Talking of which, ranting Welshman, I forgot to speak to Craig about the the Soul Night that's coming up. Although it's going to be quite a bit of Motown as well, so I don't mind Motown. Don't get me wrong. The only thing that gives me slight hibbity jibbities, for want of a better word, about that night is it's in a pub, and the person who runs the events I used to work with, and it's not that we don't get on, we've lost contact, and they're known to be a little difficult. I'm sure it'll be fine. I know what you mean, Matt, but honestly, can you imagine? Look, like I said, I'm not planning to ever do a live performance ever again. But if I drop a tune called "Into the Black Hole" or "Greetings Programs," people are going to be like, "What is this shit?" It'll be like, what was that tune I played for the other week? Oh God, I don't know. I've no idea. You have to clue me in. Oh, was it my own tune you're on about? That's the one that I'm finishing off. Not this week, not this Sunday, but next Sunday. And if you know what I'm talking about, don't put it in the chat, please. I want to keep it on the down low for now. No, I mean, like I say, I'm never going to do a live gig, but my brain goes, could you honestly see yourself on stage doing a rap about being into Tron and flipping the black hole? Yikes. I mean, there could be a novelty track about how I'm certainly not your average rapper because I'm a proper, I'm closer to Sheldon Cooper, Great name. Great name. Shut up, losers. That kind of thing. But, that would be like a filler album track, like a novelty, like My Rhyme Ain't Done, or, those kind of silly, fine tracks. But, the fun tracks. But, again, I want to do something. What? I did a song about raising a dinosaur in a lab that escaped over a looped up version of the Kiora advert. Wow. I mean, for a start, the Kiora music is an awesome tune. It's a bit calypso, isn't it? Be interesting to find out what that is. I mean, you probably know what that is, unless you just loop the Kiora advert. Thing is, you got a really good voice, mate. You sound awesome. So you could, like I say, you could read the bloody shipping forecast and make it sound like hip hop. I've got to rap in an American accent because if I don't, I end up sounding like flipping Neil Tennant from the Pet Shop Boys. I've always said that. Talking to Pet Shop Boys, let me tell you my little anecdote. The morning we were recording the pop video for Bring on the Sunshine, we were in Cricklewood, where I used to live, in a studio just up the road from where I used to live. And about 6 a.m, Normski turns up and he's sitting there chatting to us, me and Jason and everyone. He's going, guys. Because Normski doesn't switch off. He's still rhythm respectastic. He's like full on 6 a.m. He goes, oh man, I'm thinking, man, this is deep. This is really deep. This is wild. This is deep. And I'm like, well, there's the Earl Grey track, which is basically finished with Keltec on it and Madam Misfit. So that's not a bad one. But again, it's a novelty tune, isn't it? I'm rapping in a voice like this because that's the novelty. And weirdly enough, I found that easy to rap in that voice, but I don't want to end up sounding like Earl Grey all the time. I don't know if I played you the Earl Grey track, Matt. I'll send that over at some point. You can have a laugh. Um, but no, Normsky was there going, "Oh, guys, this is deep. This is weird. This is spooky." And I was like, "What's the deal?" And he goes, "Guys, you're called Best Shot Posse, right? But this studio and the recording studio that you recorded in is also used quite a lot by the Pet Shop Boys, whose initials are PSB, but you're BSP." I was like, "Wow, you're seeing patterns where they don't exist." um, yeah, I wouldn't mind the career and longevity and money of the Pet Shop Boys. Don't get me wrong. When I was in, what's this? Neil Tennant was the UK manager of Marvel UK. I didn't know that. But I'm not surprised because I've got a copy of the Dairy Book of Home Management, which is a book about, you'd get it from the milkman basically for a fiver or at $9.99, and it tells you about how to wire plugs, how to fix cracks in walls, how to do basic DIY and all that stuff. It's about nutrition, diet, exercise, pregnancy, the lot. It's like the Dairy Book of everything, someone running a home should know. First aid, all that kind of stuff. And you open the front page and it says edited by Neil Tennant. I think that was the last thing he did before he went into music. But then again, yeah, he must have done Marvel UK before that. What was I saying? Goodness me. The other one was, until I remember what I was talking about, the other one was, remember Collapse Lung? Eat my goal, eat my goal. Well, I heard that tune. I know it's a comedy tune, and it's about football, and it's a bit laddie. But I was listening to it. I thought that guy knows how to rap. Well, he nowadays goes by the name of Mr. B, the gentleman rhymer. Who does the chap hop stuff. He plays his ukulele, or banjo-lele, I think he calls it. Big moustache. But he's still got his Adidas shell toes on, and he's dresses like a gent with a waistcoat and a pocket watch and all this kind of stuff. But he knows his stuff. He's now, he was the guy from Collapse Lung, which is a great story. Apparently, Collapse Lung, they did Eat My Goal, got loads of money from Coca-Cola or whatever it was, or Pepsi. I think it was Coke, actually, for like it to do an entire album or something. They got a ton of money because the song was used during I don't know, FIFA 96 or something. And he said we just took the money and disappeared. And I'm like, yay, someone getting their own back on the music industry. That's fantastic. Maybe I should do a really bitter rhyme about how essentially we got tucked up by Sony Records and they took our idea for the Bill Withers cover Lovely Day and just gave it to Clavillas and Cole, CNC Music Factory, and got another artist to put pretty much the same song out, which then became I want to say a top 20 hit. It ended up on the I'll answer your thing in a minute, Wells. Just a sec. It ended up on the soundtrack for The Bodyguard, the Whitney Houston film. Right, so 1992. So yeah. So what happened was we sent demo tapes. Gully sent demo tapes to Sony around end of 91. They sent their A&R man, Steve Ripley, down to Wales to see us play a gig. And it was great because it was a gig in a girls' school, end of term. So it was Beatlemania. We did a handful of tunes. The Sony guy says, dudes, don't send any more demo tapes out. We want to sign you up. Didn't hear anything. He stopped answering the phone, stopped answering the letters because we weren't emailing at the time. And then, next thing we know, the 1992 film soundtrack for The Bodyguard featured Lovely Day, rap tune with a female singer. Not the same lyrics, obviously, but the same choruses, same structure, all that malarkey. So we were like, hey, we got ripped off. Right, what did it get to in the charts? Discogs. I don't know what I don't know what it got to in the charts. Hang on, Octopus at chart position. Dum 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 dum. Come on. It got to number 17 in the UK chart. In the US, it got to 34. On the US dance club charts, it got to number 1 for 3 weeks. Great. It makes me feel great, doesn't it? But yeah, so the Ranting Welshman says, can you remember the rap tune you made about me when you lived in Commercial Street? It had a Young MC track in the background. Yeah, I had a couple of Young MC 12 inches that I'd use for backgrounds, backing tracks and stuff. All I can remember about it was a number of different people. One verse was about a guy called Jack who was a weirdo. And the two lines I can remember from it was, and it was done a bit like Jungle Brothers or who's the other guy I'm thinking of? It was kind of a Jungle Brothers type thing where it was like, he doesn't talk to you the way a friend does, and on his head he wears a pair of ear defenders. That was about this guy Jack. And then with Wells's verse, it was something along the lines of, let me tell you about my homeboy. His name is Willie. The guy is so obsessed with ladies that it's silly. And then it goes on about like how much he likes birds. But that's literally 4 lines I can remember out of the whole thing. You know, I've got it written down anywhere or recorded anywhere. Do you know what? It's so... I'm just looking at the lyrics for This Lovely Day. But weirdly enough, instead of being bitter about this other story I'm going to tell you, I've talked about this before, how I nearly, in about 91 or 92, nearly ended up on Kylie Minogue's song Shocked. And for a long time I thought, is this true? Is this BS? Not best shot. Was it just bull? So I tracked down the guy who produced that song, and I said, look, I know you probably won't remember, but I was told that my demo tape made its way to you and you were considering using me until Kylie said, maybe this rap in this song would be better off coming from a female rapper. So they chose Jazzy P. And the guy said to me, honestly, I can't remember, but it sounds very likely that happened. And that's all I need to know, you know, and I don't feel bad about that. I mean, obviously, I would have been straight onto Top of the Pops, you know, in a spangly baggy trousers, probably on my own, jumping up and down to a Kylie tune. But hey, make a record with Kylie Minogue, you can do anything after that. I'd retire a happy man. But you know, that's how these things go. Let's have a quick look and see what position Shocked got to. It's still a PWL record, you know, Pete Waterman and stuff. When did it come out? 1990, so it was 3 years before we got signed as Best Shot. The DNA 7-inch mix of the single includes a rap in the bridge by Jazzy P. Mike Stock composed it. Many positive reviews. Let's have a look. What did it get to? So it was a 4-minute 48 album version, but 3 minute. It's a hip house tune. It would have been a hip house tune for me. Jazzy P said she only got 200 quid for writing and performing the rap and does not get any publishing royalties. Dang. Mind you, 200 quid in 1991. I'd have been very happy with that. Yeah, the A-side with the rapper Jazzy P are kicking off the A-sides, Betty Boo type scuffling and scampering hip house mix. Yeah, of course, it's a very house, high on energy thing. What did it get to in chart performance? In Australia, it got to number 13. Oh, it rose to number 7 where it peaked. In the UK singles charts, number 10, then ascended to number 6 where it peaked. It stayed in the charts for 7 weeks. That's not bad, is it? You know. Look, if Kylie Minogue's watching this video, and, you know, it might happen. I mean, there's 3 viewers. That could be Matthew H., Ranting Welshman, and Kylie Minogue with nothing better to do. Hi, Kylie, if you're watching. If you need me to go on tour to do that rap, give us a shout before I before I have to use a Zimmer frame. That'd be cool. Imagine that. Imagine that. So I guess next week I'll have 2 tunes to send you, Matt. One is the Earl Grey song. It's just called Introducing Earl Grey. It was a project that I wanted to do a video for. I didn't get round to it. And again, it's a complete departure for me, but it's more a comedy track. But it's all right. And the one that I'm doing with Lennis right now. But again, pop tune. Don't expect too much. I might. I have asked a friend of mine who knows musicians and plays a bit of guitar himself if they would re-record some samples for me, because I might do a new recording of one of my older tracks, because I was going through my Everlast phase. I don't know if you've heard that one, but it's a rap, but it's basically talks about how I got started and what we did and my approach to life, which doesn't involve me dissing any sucker MCs or the bitches and hoes and the guns, drugs and crack. But it's got a sung chorus that feels very Everlast, So should be meeting the man himself at the end of this month, hopefully. He's doing a signing. Be nice to say hello to that guy. Talk about success story. Everlast lives in the pocket of what I can only describe as jammy bastards, because he started off as obviously the white guy around the same time as Vanilla Ice in Rhyme Syndicate. So obviously he hung out with Ice-T and those guys, and no one really took him that seriously. And then he came back with House of Pain, who had an incredible career. And at that point, he achieved his one ambition, from what I've read in an interview, of recording and, writing and recording a classic, evergreen, always popular hip-hop tune, which was Jump Around, and to a certain extent, Boom Shalok Lock Boom or some of the other stuff. But, a number of albums. Then he came back again with a third style as Everlast, the Chris Rea impersonator. Sing a lot of singing, a lot of guitar, but he still rhymes as well. So he's kept himself going. And what I like about his career is that he's not having number 1 hits, but his record company or whatever is still supporting him. It's what I call the Coldplay effect, or the radio. Well, Coldplay have had some big hits in recent years, but they've been going for years. Radiohead again. They're a band that not always. I mean, I don't listen to Radiohead. I couldn't tell you the name of a Radiohead. Don't Radiohead name some of their albums and songs after Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, like Paranoid Android? Or is that Coldplay? I think it's Radiohead. And OK Computer. That's OK Computer. That's Zaphod Beeblebrox, isn't it? But bands like that, whose record company are just happy to see them ticking along, making a little bit of money and building up their base, and they're not, like in the case of my band, right, you're not going to give us a top 10 hit, you're out. It's like, can we be in it for the long haul rather than the quick pop career? It'd be nice to have some support of a record company. Nowadays, you don't need a record company, as you've proven yourself, and 40 and everyone else. We don't need it. Just get stuff onto Spotify. Actually, Matt, I don't know if you'll be able to shed some light on this. Say I want to put this new tune out, which is essentially uses a lot of I'm going to say 80s soul tune, replayed, but still it's unmistakable, like a cover. Would Spotify allow that and sort of generate, send me a message saying, look, this is mostly a cover version of someone else's music. We'll send any royalties to them if it gets any, sizable downloads? Or will they just ban me from, like, a copyright strike? Like, I couldn't put it on YouTube because they'd be like, nope, that uses someone else's music, you can't do it. So I hope that Spotify will do that. A friend of mine told me that other singers have done cover versions on Spotify, and Spotify sort it out for you. They go, don't worry, it's a cover version, we'll do all the paperwork. I don't mind. I just like to get it out there somehow. I don't know if Bandcamp would allow that kind of thing either, and that's probably why I need to be a bit more creative with the background music and um, disguise the samples a bit better. Make them more obscure and play them backwards and whatever. And use them in sparingly or mix them amongst loads of other stuff. It all comes back to having. Oh right, yeah, AI sweeping. Yeah, so it's like YouTube where the automated things listen to it and go, yeah, we'll remove that. I had a feeling that might be the case, but I'll have a go at throwing it up on Spotify anyway and see how long it stays up for. You live and learn, innit? Do you know what's still on Spotify? I wrote a ballad, a proper singing ballad. I wasn't going to sing it myself, but I got a up and coming wannabe singer who's really passionate about singing. Had to twist her arm and beg and plead for her to get off a butt and come into the studio. And finally we went into the studio and recorded it. And it's a decent song, but I can't listen to it anymore because she completely ghosted me just for telling her she needs to work harder. I don't know what else she's told other people, but she put some nasty stuff online about me being manipulative and gaslighting and stuff. And all I said was, if you want to make it as a singer, you got to work a bit harder than you're currently doing. So I can't listen to that song anymore. It's probably not making any money. And it's not a bad song, but I'm not petty enough to want to have it removed. So, the thing people do these days is make the track with the samples and then get musicians to play the samples slightly differently, use that version. Yeah, they call it interpolation, don't they, rather than sampling. It's a bit like a thing I said on my did I say it on a live or did I do it on I was on Instagram post about Carol Kenyon from Heaven 17 and stuff. Martin wanted the sample Free Your Mind from the start of the Free Your Mind on Vogue tune, and that would have cost a fortune to clear. So they said, why didn't you get Carol to sing it? So she sung it, and I still think we had to pay like 800 quid to East West America, the record label, just for doing an interpolation for 3 words. I noticed on a couple of Everlast tracks, like especially Folsom Prison Blues, I've heard the DJ, is it DJ Lethal? It might be DJ Lethal, scratching up some stuff, especially the sample that goes, how y'all feel out there, which is supposed to be Run DMC, but it's someone else's voice doing it. I've noticed he's done that on a couple of his tunes. He's got someone to recreate that sample and they scratch that up. Lennis should probably be able to cover you in that regard, surely. Or in terms of replaying stuff and that. Yeah, basically for this tune I'm doing with him, I told him of the track that I want to cover or use the main loop from. And he said, I can replay that in no time at all. I don't know if he had the original stems or the programming for it or whatever, but he put together the backing track in record time and it sounds flipping amazing. And I just said to him, you know that beat from Run's House? He's like, oh, Funky Drummer. I said, it's kind of Funky Drummer, but slightly different. But fling that over the top. He's like, okay. Yeah, Lennis did an amazing version. But I think I might, if I do the cover of the one that sounds like Everlast that I did many years ago, I think Lennis can replay that. Plus, I'm going to get some people with guitars too, because there's quite a bit of acoustic guitar stuff going on there as well. I would like to do like a rock track, like King of Rock, Raising Hell, Tougher Than Leather, Missy Lane, Fugitive, Skinny and Proud, those kind of rock-based kind of tunes. I floated the idea with Mike Platt, who was on The Voice. He's from Aberdare. When he had his band Raider together, who are no longer together, I think they've changed their name now, or completely disbanded and got a new band together. I did his artwork for his t-shirts, remember? I said, do you want to do like a rap rock fusion, Walk This Way styly? And he's like, that's not a bad idea. And nothing ever happened of it. It'd be great if I could do a rap tune with Haxon, but I don't think they would like that. They're too young and cool. and female to want anything to do with me. But they were nice enough to let me to say they wanted to say they've got their permission to use the skeleton song on Bloody Students if it ever happened. I was trying to pay them. I just said, look, I've sent you a piece of paperwork, just sign it. I'll send you 300 squid, and you get 300 quid out of it. And they were so busy, for want of a better word, that they never got around to signing it, so I never sent them the money. But the film never got made, so in a way I've saved 300 quid, really. There was another band I asked to use some of their rock tunes for the film, but they turned around to me and said, well, we need a heck of a lot of money, and we need it paid every year in perpetuity. And I'm like, guys, I'm not Steven Spielberg. Great songs, but I can't afford that, so that didn't happen. But I am keeping my ear out for decent stuff. Weirdly enough, my accountant runs a prog rock label, and he sent me some of the albums that I've done artwork for. And prog rock is some long ass tunes and lots of instrumental sections of guitars and trippy stuff. I thought there's quite a lot I can mine from that. And I can get his permission to use it as well. So that might be not too bad. I've got a decent loop already in mind. Just got to think of a structure and a subject. So we've been talking for 1 hour and 40 minutes so far, and there's only 3 viewers. That's not great, is it? I mean, I know it's Friday night, people are probably out. But remember we had a chat recently and it was like 15 people watching? That was cool. And the one time when I did the live video where I was talking about the Firefly announcement, the second it came in, man, I had like 100 people watching. It was incredible. I couldn't get my brain around it. I was like, yeah, I've hit the big time. Now we're back to 3 viewers. Well. So of the 3 viewers, which I'm assuming now is probably Matthew H., Ranting Welshman, maybe the Darren Zone, or even Wrestling Daniel, unless he's gone. Do you think it might be a good idea to do a 3 a.m. live video out in the wild when I'm camping? Might do it anyway, see what happens. I'm probably going to have some subscribers who are sort of US based who might be like, oh, watch that. Who knows? But yeah. It's fun times. I mean, I wish I had more time to do stuff in the studio and get to... It is swings and roundabouts, totally. I'd like to do more music. I've gone for many years thinking, that's it, I'm done, I'm retired, I'm not doing anymore. But it's like riding a bike. It's in the back of your mind going, oh yeah, quite nice to do that. I think I have lost the ability to write. I've certainly lost the ability to write and rap as good as I used to. I can't even sing as good as I used to because of throat and everything else now. But I froze up then. I was trying to think what I was going to say. It's still, every now and again you go, I want to exercise that rarely used muscle, and I love being in a studio. I love it. I used to go over every Saturday to Gully's, and we'd be in his garage just throwing around ideas and putting samples together. And he'd come up with a backing track and he'd say, right, here's a cassette, sod off, come back next week with your lyrics. We do all that. So we did so much stuff. And then we did a bunch of sessions with Greg Haver when he was down behind West Canal Wharf. He's in either Australia or New Zealand now, Greg. I really enjoyed sessions with him because he had a completely different way of working to Gully and to Lennis. I bet you have, mate. I bet you got an A6 book. I mean, I've got 3 notebooks right in front of me, A5. But there's no substitute for writing lyrics by hand, and I have to do it in pencil because when I'm reading through them, trying to think in my mind how they'd go together, I'm always changing words, and I'm sure you're doing the same thing, going, oh, that would fit better, And so you have to keep rubbing stuff out, because if I do it in pen, I'll be scribbling words out, writing stuff over the top, and I can't read my own handwriting. But I know the kids nowadays just go to the studio and put their phones in front of them and rap off their phones. Back in the day, me and Sire and stuff, we used to just have our lyrics in our head and just do them because we'd rehearsed them for a week beforehand. And nowadays, you know, in the recent tunes I've done, I've had to have them. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to know about some of the studios you've been to. I've been to a couple, but not many. Um, but yeah, again, working with different producers as well. I mean, the Earl Grey tune was just between me and Keltec, but Keltec did like all the music entirely and all cutting and the mixing and everything. I just sent him my vocals and the guest vocals, and he did the lot, and it was great. You know, um, nothing beats being in the studio with someone, with a producer. You know, where you can both fling stuff together. It's just time is the. I'd love to have the time that these, the legendary musicians have. Right then, son. All right, I'll see you soon. If I survive the night camping, but it should be sorted. Now I've got my pooper scooper. I'm technically a thing. Yeah, Keltec is a genius, and not only is he a damn good DJ, he's a great producer. He's a good musician, and he's taught himself the cello and stuff. So putting together the tracks he does, from his drum and bass days, and some good stuff there, albums worth of stuff, to the stuff he did with Johnny, and he's still going. So I got nothing but good stuff to say about old Keltec. Weirdly, when he came up to Gloucester Prison when we were filming Mummified, and we were just chatting away, and I just stopped and went, "Hang on, I've never met you before, have I?" It's like, I bumped into, when I started doing artwork for him and Johnny, the two of their albums. I bumped into Johnny in person once or twice in Cardiff and said hello, but never met Keltec until Mummified, and he was like, "Shit, yeah, we haven't met before in real life, have we?" Sound guy. So yeah, do you know, like you see or you hear stories about how these big tunes are done? They're in the studio and they're there for weeks or days, and they're throwing little ideas in and layering stuff up, and you think, man, many a time I've thought, if I'd have put together a home studio years ago, decades ago, I'd be like Keltec by now. I'd be in control, in charge of all my software. I'd know, I probably would have a little bit more ability on the keyboard or whatever, just to lay stuff down, and a decent recording setup. And it never happened because, I'm not making excuses, but, other things could take priorities, like kids and jobs and everything else, Ho-hum. Well, there's only two people watching now, which is yourself and a lurker. So who knows? I've got 10 minutes left, I suppose, to the end of a 2 hour. I will stop at 2 hours because I still got a drawing job that needs finishing this weekend, if at all possible, before I go camping. And no one's gonna watch a 2 hour live, really. But I thought I'd do 2 hours instead of one, just to try and help bump up these watch hours on what do you call it, on YouTube, to see if it helps. Right. Just checking if there's any notifications on the old Instagram. Probably not. I better check the Facebook notifications. People will be like ticking like, but not coming over to the live. Come and say hello before I go. Only 10 minutes left. What's this? No. Oh well. Don't know if you're aware of this, Matt. I've just shimmied across onto Facebook, and I saw a post from a company called Cosmic Scale Models, Cosmic with a Z, and yeah, I suppose I could draw, yeah. But Cosmic Scale Models, they've got a site. They're doing some really good stuff. I have to check if they're 3D printed in resin, which would be nice, rather than, horrible FDM liney stuff with the print lines. But they do all like the Eagle transporters, ships from V, Blake 7 stuff. They're about to do either 1/3 scale or 1/4 scale drones from Silent Running, which I really think I have to invest in. I probably could make my own, but again, finding the time in it. But Cosmic Scale Models have got some good stuff on their site. Black Hole stuff. They got a really nice Vincent as well. So yeah, you wanna check them out. I've signed up to their notifications to see if there's anything I can go for, which I'd really like. Yeah. Oh, did you see that Kickstarter for the Guild? That was what do you call it? Felicia Day. She did a web series about Dungeons and Dragons players back in the day. They've decided to do a movie, as a sort of anniversary, and they've already raised $4 million, and there's 15 days left on their Kickstarter. It's good when you've got a nice following like that. They're also going to bring Alan Tudyk and Nathan Fillion into it as well, so that's a good pull, isn't it? Wow. I haven't done any recording on the audiobook today. Some of these chapters are getting longer. I just looked at the next chapter and it's like 11 pages. I'm going to have to break that down into like 2 or 3 different sessions because I know the tendency is to want to sit there and record the entire 11 pages in one hit, but that's a massive file size and the editing takes hours and hours and hours because my voice is not good. The Sentry Guard figure, yeah. Well, the Sentry helmet is still there. The silver plastic over the eyes has popped off, and I've glued it back on. Well, not glued it. I've used double-sided tape, and it's popped off again. So I think I have to get the old E6000 on the go. You can't even see it, but it's just kind of hanging off. I want the entire figure of the Sentry. That'd be quite nice. If they could sell like a 1/6 scale Action Man Sentry about that big, then you could have one or a couple in red with their guns out, and also a black one for Captain Star. Put a little medal on him, That would be awesome. That'd be quite nice. So there's only us two, Matt, unfortunately. Thanks for sticking around. I can hear people singing outside because there's a pub 2 doors down. And it's loud. But that's what you get with the weather. But the thing is, that's why I could go camping, because people might want to go to pubs in days like this and not go off into the forests. The only people who go off into forests to go camping would be youngsters who can't, really drink or afford to drink. So they get some money together and get a bottle of vodka and hide off where they can't be found in the forest. So I've got to make sure I'm hidden away. I think it'll be all right. I may be a little scared. I don't think I'll be very cold. I'm even looking forward to rain. The guy who was making a 3.75 figure, that's what I like. Yeah, I mean, I've still got links here. I think it's called the Goon Squad. Goon Squad on Facebook. Am I still... Or is it Goon Squad Builders or something like that? Let me check. No, there's video games, the Goon Squad. I'll just type in Goon Squad. Goon Squad. It was something like that. The Goon Squad Builders, I think it was, because of, someone scanned the head of a screen-used Sentry, and they scanned the entire torso, but not the arms and the legs. And the 3.75-inch ones, the arms and legs were not too great. I think the guy who was doing those, actually, I think I've known him online for a few years, because he's the guy who sent me some vac form bits and bobs for the Off-World spaceship when we were doing that. Paul Cornelius Lawrence Jennings. Goon Squad Builders, I'll try that. Yeah, he was doing 3D printed ones. Well, it's not Goon Squad Builders. Black Hole Sentry. Oh, Rich. Hello, mate. I only just realised you were streaming. You are a little late. You're technically here to catch up with the last 6 minutes. I decided to do a 2-hour one. Oh man, yeah. Don't start telling me about UFO abductions now. It's just going to be floating around in my mind when I'm out in the dark on my own. But Black Hole Century, yeah, Rich. Anyway, welcome here. I thought I'd do a 2-hour one to try and bump up the thing. Oh, here we are. The Black Hole Sentry robot on Star Builders Group. If I get my webcam on, I'll quickly show you. Not my webcam, the display capture. Oh, I see. I've got to move me out the way. Hang on. Here you go. So there's the original chest plate, etc., and the helmet, which was scanned at really high res. Joseph Bottoms. Let's see. A recent Penturk flap. What's flap? Is it a word I'm not aware of? UAP, do you mean? Or flying aerial phenomenon? I don't know. Photos. Let's have a look at people's... Oh, what's this? Oh, wow. It ended up on auction. Pair of underpants too. $19,000. Yeah, that's the one I've got. That's the guy who made my one. And he's done a really good UFO flap. I don't know what that means. Apparently crashed in Smilog Florist. Wow. Well, I kind of believe in UFOs, but I am very skeptical nowadays because all these people, like the guys who claim to work in Area 51 and Broom Lake, and high-ranking American servicemen and majors and generals who've got no reason to lie, come out and said all this stuff, but they've always got a book to sell, and still no disclosure, no nothing. I'm like, for goodness sake, guys, can we please get some real proof and stuff of, wow, that's what it's like before it's got the matte finish on it. A flap being an incident. Okay, I don't know the terminology, guys. This is great. When you watch some of these scenes, these guys, like this one behind him in the background, his shoulder's out of joint, and some of them are walking around with shoulders popped out, and, they're not great. But so there, they need to make decent arms and legs, because I don't think they're too brilliant. I was going to do that as a costume, the humanoid. That'd be quite fun. Yeah, I'll keep an eye out for UFOs when I go camping, guys. You never know. If I'm probed, I'm blaming you lot. Oh, do you remember those? I remember those. I've got one of those with the arms hanging off. Oh, someone's 3D printing the entire thing. But again, the head and torso are in really good accuracy because they're based on the scanned one. But the legs are all wrong, and the arms are wrong as well. It's not a costume you could do unless you were super thin, so I ain't going to be doing that. I'd so love a Vincent and a Bob, though. Not so much a Maximilian. I think he's great. You interviewed her for your channel. Wow. Yeah, I mean, there's stories of people who had, like, weird implants in their arms after being abducted and stuff. I don't think those things have been, like, explained. So here we go again. Whoever made these are the Diamond Select Vincent, Bob, and Max, but the arms and legs are not quite right for these sentries. I know they've been adjusted to have joints and stuff, but the proportions and stuff are a little bit off. The details a bit off, but still nice to have in the right scale. So yeah, someone's asked, are they Diamond exclusive? And he's saying Max, Vincent, and Bob are yeah. Star and the Sentry of customs I commissioned, yeah. Great figures, who made them? No one's replied. Yeah, the legs are too skinny, so, and the hands are tiny, so I don't know why he's bothered putting a joint on the head of that one. because those robots could never turn their heads anyway. But nice paint job. I've got the Tron. I've got the Tron figure. I wouldn't say no to them though. Hands are so small, but the right scale. I like it. Who was making these at full size? No, that's not full size. Yeah, the feet are too small as well, and they're not. The details are wrong, but that's what I'm like. Yeah, we should talk about UFOs as well. You know, my brother's massively into it, and to this day, you know, he'll show me stuff that I used to get really excited about as a kid. Unfortunately, I'm less excited about it these days because there's still no proof after decades. There's still no definite, you know, answers. There's still no yes or no about it. So it's a little bit, oh, they're quite cool. They're tiny. They're quite cool. Details are completely wrong, but they're quite cute. Well, that's not bad. I've seen this guy by George Zimmerman. Yeah. So the Mego figures, you could still pick them up here now and then. I want to make one of these guns. They're not difficult, man. It's just a lot of cylinders to cut out, and you got to get the right number, etc. But it's doable, isn't it? It's not a difficult thing to build. That bit in the middle is like basically a twisted piece of like almost telephone wire, or you know, even some sort of aluminium wire you can bend around. Very cool. Cool, stay on that. Looks like a stunt one. Looks like it's leather rather than, might be one of those sort of polyurethane ones for stunts. But yeah, Tic Tac. I remember the Tic Tac ones. Yeah, I've seen that. The ones that were recently sort of the disclosure things with some of the high-ranking dudes. They had all those like kind of hearings, but then there was people also pulling out of the hearings at the last minute, saying I don't want to say any more, and you're like, why? Who's got dirt on you? You know. And again, it's bordering on disclosure, but there's nothing actually there. And I love hearing stories about abductions. I love hearing stories about you know, Area 51, and you know, there was a story about an alien called J-Rod who lived. He was like I don't know if he was one of the what was the famous crash, you know, that Area 51, you know, the silver remains or whatever. But, you know, they're saying that one of these aliens was called J-Rod, who was about 3 foot tall, and he lived in Area 51 for a while. He was given free rein to walk around. He could pick up a few words of English, and he lived to an oldish age, even though his crewmen had died. You know, is it true or is it not? Roswell, that's the one. Sorry, Roswell. Yeah, thanks for that. We've just gone past the 2-hour mark, and now we're having a good chat. But there's only 2 viewers, which is yourself, Rich, and Matt. Richard's a photographer as well, as long as other things. And Matt is a very, very prolific long-term musician and rapper. Just generally decent guys. Yeah, that's the thing with AI nowadays. I quite like that, you know, you've got the Corridor crew who are debunking UFO footage because they know what to spot. And you know, before I sign off, the thing that annoys me about people screaming fake about moon landings and all that kind of stuff, I'm like, if you can fake a moon landing 6 times or whatever, and you can fake SpaceX launches, and you can fake, you know, the ISS footage and zero gravity, why are they only doing that? Why don't they fake landing on Mars and meeting up with alien beings? Why aren't they faking an actual UFO landing on the White House lawn? Why aren't they faking all that stuff if it's so easy to fake? They're not. This kind of stuff does my brain in. I once did a public appearance in something in Cardiff, and I was talking to a teacher and his wife who are moon landing deniers. I'm like, you're teaching kids and you don't believe we went to the moon? Oh, that's interesting. See that gun? I was up in a shop in Tonopandi. Was it Tonopandi? Yeah, Tonopandi. And he had a cast of that gun, and I had no idea what it was. I thought it looks familiar, but I wasn't sure what it was. And it turns out it was the Palomino blaster that Dan Holland and Charlie Pizer had. And it was in a sort of green resin. I thought, that's really ergonomic, put your fingers and stuff in there. That's 2,000 quid. I'm sure it's not selling it for 2,000 quid, but it's probably gone by now. I wouldn't say no to that, but it's getting up to ton of pandy, man. Right then. That was a Battlestar Galactica pilot suit. Some black hole stuff. I've always wondered if it's possible to make a Crichton helmet out of EVA foam. I'd love a Crichton suit. I'm fat enough to be it. I could still play that character. And I missed that as well. This is where my Marvin is. This was 2021. They had original screen used Bob from Black Hole up at National Sci-Fi in Milton Keynes. And yeah, it's I commented on it 5 years ago. It's a shame, innit? Well, right, guys. It's been 2 hours. There are 3 viewers now, so that's Matt, Rich, and someone we don't know. But whoever you are, hello, thank you for joining. And you're here to see me basically come to an end of my stream. I've been talking about all sorts of nonsense, and why does I can never get this scale? No, scaling's not working. I don't know. Anyway, the only weird thing I go really is the moon landings, about them seeing something on the moon that remains unexplained. Yeah. I've heard stories that they say, it wasn't the very first landing, the Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. It was one of the other ones, and they said, we saw something, and we went quite far from the lander and saw stuff. Anyway, guys, I will catch you soon. I'm going to do a weird, awkward 20-second pause now to get rid of the latency, and then I'm going to hit the end stream button. So I will probably go live at some point. There's a video tomorrow at midday, obviously, about the Star Wars Welsh dub. So it'd be cool if you could watch that for me. And I will see you guys very soon, probably at 3 o'clock in the morning if I decide to do a live while I'm camping in the dark, being very scared. So I'm going to hit end stream and see you guys soon.